Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. This is the start of a new week of daily color. I'm going to start with this image. Each of the three floral filigree images are a mirror from left to right. So I'm not really sure how long it will take. Today I only have a total of 24 pencils to choose from. And the color palette is a muted natural palette. The pencils are Derwent Drawing. They're one of my professional sets that I own. They are light fast. They have a giant core, as you can see here. The core does sharpen nicely with my Jarlink sharpener. They're fairly soft, but not buttery. They're kind of a drier, silky feel. So I am going to grab my first array of colors. It's a blend of sorts from yellow to a deep orange. And here they are. This is probably the most vibrant of the colors, so I'm going to start with this. Yellow ochre 5720, Mars orange 6210, and terracotta 6400. It is a Derwent product. I am going to make these funky disc-like half circles, sort of look like a sunrise. A sunrise on repeat. I am tempted because I do have a coloring thing to do this evening. It's a non-normal coloring night because Wednesday I am prepping for a surgery and don't want to risk having low energy that evening. So I think I might just let myself do half, and I will work on the other half when I have time. And I am optimistic that with this limited color palette, it won't be too challenging to come back later, at a later date, to finish it off. I have all my Lazy Susans out from last week's 4-set large mandala floral image, and those are all put away. So I think that that would be my best course of action to give myself enough time. Last week, every single daily color went about 50 minutes. So I would be okay if it ended up going a little bit short. This is going to be an odd week. I have mentioned probably multiple times that my family is coming here to live, which is just absolute craziness to me. It's my mom and her husband, and we've never lived closer than, say, 45 minutes plus. Maybe between an hour. I'm trying to think of the where we lived when we first got married, and then we moved actually a little bit closer to them. Then we were really close for a short period of time, I think. Nah, maybe not. They lived in Everett, and then they moved out to the country. So these last years when we traveled around the U.S., every summer we would come to our home base area. We used their house as the closest home base. There's a campground nearby. Not nearby. The campground's still like 40 minutes away. And in that campground, you can't really get away with doing a lot of RV repairs where you're taking everything apart and you have bits and pieces of the trailer strewn about. So we always saved our big maintenance or upgrade tasks for when we were at my mom's. And so we were there maybe, 3 weeks to a month each summer to take care of business. And that's probably the most we spent time with them. Now, that's not including when we moved in 2016. I had to finish out a year of work, and we moved in June, and then we left the next March. So we actually did live there. But they have this 5 acres that they just sold that has the house up on a cliff with a whole bunch of trees, and then the barn down below, and we would nestle up next to the barn and we wouldn't even see them. So now they are moving into my community, and they could be a block away, or they could be up to 5 minutes away. But it'll still be a golf cart or bike ride away. Next color. We're going to do some greens. I really like the sunset. And like I said, that is the brightest color scheme you're going to see out of these pencils. We're going with greens. These greens are very subtle. The most green is this olive earth. So from light to dark, green shadow 4135, green Craig green 5090, and olive earth 5160. There's a couple of other greens. This one pale cedar, but I opted not. That's actually even lighter, and so I didn't want to go that light. We're already going to have a hard enough time making the color palette pop a little bit, given that we only have a few colors. The last Derwent Drawing image that I did was big enough. It was a mandala. There were small images, but it was circular, just like the flower one that we just finished last week. And it had a lot of elements, so I brought in a few light fast pencils, the aqua color, just for a couple of pops of color. And then continued and did some scenes on the other page, like the first 2 scenes. I think there were 4 images. So I went ahead and did those in the light fast so that they could get an appropriate amount of time with enough colors used to really count it. That was the darkest. That is the greenest of the green. And the middle and the light are very similar. So if you look at the pigment, I actually think the dipped ends are the opposite. The dipped end shows Craig green as the darkest. The tip itself with the pigment is the opposite. So I'm going to do a little test here. I'm doing just some medium pressure. These are and this is what I think is the lightest color. We're going to go with the tips, not the pigmented end here. So this is the middle color. I cannot believe that my parents are leaving Washington State next week. They are going to drive across the U.S. They are not going to bring a lot with them. They're not going to tow a small U-Haul trailer, which was one of the possibilities. Both my mom and her husband are comfortable towing. But I like the idea of being very nimble and not having to stress about the trailer. They're already going to have to deal with a dog that does not like to be in a car that weighs 95 pounds. So they'll be working hard to keep him comfortable. Have to make lots of stops, go at the rest stops. So this is as green as you're going to get with this color palette. That these pencils are a very muted set of colors. They are so beefy that when all of my other pencils, I can put 2 in one square in this Lazy Susan when I put pencils back. No, I can't do that with these. Okay, so now I am going to save the flowers for last. There are 2 flowers. I'm going to work on the vine, which I am going to make the vine be approximately kind of light to dark, kind of dry wood looking. Chocolate is my shadow color, warm earth is the middle color, and brown ochre the lightest. I do have, see this light color is called light sienna. I don't know that I need that light, but it is sitting here. I also have another light color called wheat. And so I will leave those sitting here in case I do want to go lighter. And the first thing I want to do is get my shadows in with the chocolate. This is super light pressure. This is a very, you just touch the pencil to the paper and the color goes down. I do want to make sure that I feather out the color toward the ends because I will want to blend it in with the middle tone. What I do like about this book is the variety of the images and the varying from complicated to simple to large to small. I do notice that since this is the only coloring book that I have worked in, and then the Romantic Country for the big series, that I have to pick a day to get started on that. And now I will probably be popping in, I'm picking a couple of random spots. Oh, here's a dark. Okay, so there's my start. I'm going to move to the middle tone and we'll be blending in with that chocolate. So I like the variety, but I don't do large spaces. Colored pencil, and now I used to do more images that I would scan onto paper that was specific for Copic coloring. I'll save that knob for the lightest color. And then, you know, that will be light, that will be light. I know in nature that it would be probably more varied, not as regular. I'm thinking these little floating dots and the little stamen, whatever they're called, on the flowers will be a metallic. And I will do that at the very end. Yeah, so my parents are going to be here by October 1st. A couple of other activities are happening that, you know, we have pods that are going to be leaving this week, actually. I should probably check on that. We're getting the trailer now. We emptied our trailer, I guess early this year, maybe around January, February. Cleaned it up and did a bunch of stuff. And at the time, we were all ready to sell it. Then we got, you know, made a couple of inquiries. We were just thinking of doing it as a wholesale initially. Had gotten back some quotes. My mom and her husband were delayed visiting here. They were going to come in February. Then the Boeing Max planes were grounded. So she moved her flight out. She had to pick a different set of dates. Has a dog sitter. And so she changed her dates to April. Very soon before she came in April, her trip to visit us became the trip to check out the houses here, because she was ready to move. And, you know, they're older than us, of course. And they've been retired from their jobs, but they've had this farm. It's 5 acres, and it is a lot of work. So they decided it was time to not be responsible for all of that, and gardens and animals and horses. So that happened, and then we immediately stopped our efforts to sell the trailer, because I figured that would be a great place for them to be able to come while looking for their perfect home. And these are people who are go, go, go every day. So it will be so fun to see how things go when they get to come and work on their just exercise and enjoy things, enjoy life, do all the outdoor activities that they want to do. They do get to enjoy a tiny bit of the tail end of the wet, warm season here. They've only been here in the winter when it's cool. I really like it, actually. I do get up and go exercising, riding. I ride the bike to the pool, run my errands on the property, go to the mail center, ride on the trail, which my husband volunteers on, so I usually get to come home, find him on the trail, which is over 2 miles long. So sometimes he's at the one end, sometimes he's at the other. So by the time I find him, I might have. We live in the middle of the trail, right smack in the middle at about the mile mark. I think that looks very cute. So all we have to do now is finish off some flowers. And I see a little bit of green to clean up. So I'm going to grab the middle green, which is green shadow, which actually I think is the lightest green. Because again, I'm going by the tip. And a couple of these leaves. There we go. This is the leaf that needs a little more color. Now we're going to do blue. Now, these are teeny tiny bellflowers, but I do have an array of 3, a light, a medium, and a dark. We have Solway blue, smoke blue, and ink blue. I'm going to start with the darkest blue. We will do our best to make these as interesting as possible. And I have just these 3 little flowers because the other half has 3 more little flowers. Lightest is the Solway blue. It is really just a very light gray. It's very challenging getting these pencils spread out to be one in each hole. Okay, so now I have, for the, there isn't an actual pink. The lightest color I could go with would be probably, that has some tone to it, would be the light sienna, which is an orange. So here's what we've got. A strange array for the bigger flower. Light sienna, Mars violet, ruby earth. These numbers, the 4-digit numbers, will be on the description. Following the hint of these lines as a shadow line. And then a little more shadow over on the far side. See if we can make those double dots something interesting. The middle color is actually a violet or a purpley tone. Purple pink. Oh, and I didn't do the sides on that one. And the lightest color is light sienna. The other option would have been wheat. I see a need for, these are definitely a light layering type of pencil, and it means that it would be a really good set for if you were liking to do the natural color tones. See, I'm able to mix in these 3 colors together with that creamy orange tone. I think that's what I like the best about light layers, is the ability to make new colors out of layering multiple existing colors. A little more of the purple. Getting that tooth to fill in. This creamy color is very different than the yellow. Which is really short. This one broke. This one had a problem. Yellow ochre. So look how short that is. That is short. By far the shortest. Not because I used it. I had a crumbling problem with it. And I was really glad when I got past whatever that section was that was crumbly. And then I have 3 little dots of green. Well, 5 little dots of green. All right, very happy with that. Grabbing, let's do olive earth. That's olive green, of course. I'm actually going to be fancy. And I'm going to come back in with a lighter green for the other half. We're going to get as much depth as we can out of the deal. Flowers are done. Middle green, that's the dark. They're muted enough tones that it's actually hard. You know, the reds I can see, the yellows I can see. Now green shadow is the other tone. And just like that, aside from the metallic finish of the dots, we are finished, and we're only at 28 minutes. I'm not going to let that bother me that we're at 28 minutes. We will go ahead and pick up tomorrow with the second image, and it's going to have more, it's a little more complicated. It's a bigger set, metallic, so it is the same muted palette with a 48 set of metallics, the Castle Arts, and a 12 set of even beefier pencils than these Derwent Drawings, the Cretacolor Brilliance. And that is what we look like today. I will do the second half on my own time. So do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, consider subscribing, and we will do this all again tomorrow. See you then.